My name is Alison. I'm the Programs Outreach and Youth Services Manager here at Monterey County Free Libraries. Thank you for joining me again today for another episode of Backyard Science. Today I am going to do a backyard wander through my mom's backyard where I'm visiting this weekend. I thought this would be a great time to show you a different garden. My mom is a master gardener and she has tons of cool edible things in her backyard. A lot of them aren't necessarily producing their fruit or vegetable right now, but I can show you what the plants look like and give you some ideas for things that you could potentially plant in your backyard. One thing that my mom has a lot of are tomatoes. So these are all her different tomato plants. There are tons of different tomato plants in here. And if you watched my tomato episode of Backyard Science, you'll know that my tomato plants didn't do very well this year. But my mom lives in a different city further north where it's sunnier. As you can see, it's very sunny right now. Her backyard has a lot of sun, which is perfect for growing tomatoes. This is another one of her tomato plants. This one actually has a few still on it. This massive tree is a fig tree. It didn't produce a lot of fruit this year, but in past years it has produced a ton of fruit. I used to really hate figs, but I liked picking them. But now I like figs, which is another example of something that my tastes changed about. So a reminder to always make sure you retry fruits and vegetables that you haven't previously liked. So this is all one fig tree. And next to it, right here, is another fruit tree. Now I forget whether this is I think it's a nectarine tree. It's growing, you can see there's the base. Under it we have all this basil. So my mom has a couple of basil plants growing. Basil is a really, really delicious herb. It's used in a lot of things, especially pesto. So some of you might have tried pesto pasta, and basil is a main ingredient in pesto. My mom made a bunch of pesto the other day. You can see here, this plant is starting to flower a little bit, and in order to make sure that your basil is growing the leaves, which is what we want to eat, you can pluck these little flowers off and toss them aside, because the plant will expend its energy into these flowers and not so much into the yummy, delicious leaves. So you can just throw those into your compost. Another herb that my mom has out here is some parsley. So she'll pick this sometimes and cut some over whatever we're having for dinner, and it adds a nice freshness. These are my mom's compost towers. So she puts some of her yard waste in here to compost down. She actually got a tomato growing out of here this year, which was kind of cool. And over here we have some onions. And these are all dried out now, but when they're fresh, they make these little onion blossoms up at the top. They look like little flowers, but they're actually edible, and you can pull them off, dry or fresh, but when they're fresh, you can actually eat them, and they taste really good mixed into salads. Another fruit tree my mom has is an apple tree. This goes way up high, and it has a few apples on it. Let's look for some. There's one. And there's another one. There's one up there. So you can see all the apples growing in it. My mom's dog loves to play with the apples that fall out of the tree. He throws them around the backyard. Here are all sorts of greens that are waiting to be planted. So my mom has them all out here. They all have their little label in them, so you know what they are. There's some spinach, was the label we just pulled out here. Let's see what that is. I guess that's like a bok choy type thing. We've got some onions over here. I like the look of this one. Let's see what this label is. Oh, snow peas. So those are going to be peas. So these will get planted out at the edible garden that my mom volunteers at. Some beets all sorts of things waiting to go into the ground. Moving to the front yard now, this is a persimmon tree, and it's quite tall again. A lot of these trees are very tall now, but I remember when they were small. I lived in this house until I was 25. So I lived here for a very long time, and you can see the persimmons aren't ripe yet. There they are. When they are ripe, they will turn an orangey color. Some of them have already fallen down. You can see that there, but there they are. This is an example of a fruit where my tastes have not changed yet. I still do not like persimmons, but I encourage you to give them a try because you never know what you might like. Next to the persimmon tree is another nectarine tree, and I remember when we got this tree, I was in college. I went to UC Davis, and we went to a planting workshop, and they gave us the tree. Trees, when they're young, look like little sticks, and now look at it, full of greenery. There's also this nectarine tree over here. They look like cool bushes, and then they produce fruit when it's the proper season. We also have some more herbs here in the front yard. This is one of my favorites. We have a little bit of rosemary. It smells delicious. I love how that smells. Rosemary potatoes, roasted potatoes, are one of my favorite things. And rosemary can grow quite big and wild, as you can see. I hope you enjoyed this little wander through my mom's backyard and front yard. My mom has a lot of cool plants, both edible and ornamental, which means that they're just pretty to look at. But I thought it would be great to share some of the edible ones with all of you, inspire you to grow some of your own food. It always depends on where you live, what you'll be able to grow. Certain plants really need a lot of sun and heat, which is why a lot of things thrive where my mom lives and not so much where I live. But I would encourage all of you to try growing something in your yard. And if you live somewhere where you don't have access to a yard, there are tons of things that you can grow inside in little boxes, window boxes, or in little pots around your apartment or your living space. A while back, we did a cool Maker Monday video on growing plants, so I encourage you to check out that video for some more plant information, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.